Hello and welcome to Bergkamp Wonderland. We used to be an Arsenal podcast. Now we're just a load of people thinking the next season tickets are going to be a lot cheaper because we're playing in the Championship against the likes of Barnet, Blackpool, and some French team. Who? Luton Town. Oh, the club that all real Arsenal supporters we really support. With me tonight, it's from ABW. It's our very own Femster because no one else could be fucking bothered to turn up. All right.
I don't, Danny.
Well, let's go for a roll call, shall we? Let's. Chris the Pirate, he's doing his French pod, which is more important than the Arsenal pod. Josh and Cole did yesterday. John is busy working. Ellis is on his hollybobs. He's gone to the North Pole or somewhere where there's lots of snow. Jeff Arsenal's having an extension done. Who else is there? I think that's it. And then there's the rest in your group who I don't know what they're doing. Most of them don't even reply to stuff. So, thanks for saving the day, Femi. Without you, it'd just be me and Mike, and that would just be a nightmare.
No one would want to see that.
It certainly wouldn't. And also, if you haven't noticed down the bottom, it's COVID boy himself. It's Mike from the Gooners pod. It's Andy's better half. How you doing, Treacle?
I have been better, to be honest with you. I thought I was infected with a horrible virus, and then Sunday it was confirmed that the virus is Arsenal. So you're not going to be getting the best Mike today, but or the happiest Mike, but hopefully I can escape from this COVID fog long enough to give you something sensible.
We were just saying that congratulations are in order, Mike. You've been podcasting for about 3 years, and it's the first time you've done it not drunk. So how's it going so far?
It's 5 years, and yes, you're right. This is the first time, but I just feel drunk right now. I'm not actually drunk, but that COVID fog that they talk about is legit. It's I'm feeling loopier than normal, and I haven't had a drink in I don't know, a couple hours.
I should know that it's 5 years because it's season 5, episode 17 was your last one, or 18 or something like that. I forget that's how you do it.
You're the only one that actually keeps track of that. Andy has no idea. He still thinks we're doing season 3.
Andy? Who's he?
I don't know.
Sounds familiar. Oh, is that the bloke you used to podcast with?
Yeah, that English type guy.
Yeah. We call that a touch of the Carpenters, where they just fuck off and stop doing podcasts. So did he even bother having excuses, or does he do what Chris does and just go, no?
No, he says it with the French accent.
Oh, dear. According to Josh, Chris is busy stealing barnacles off of the Mary Rose. Duncan's there. Matt is there. Oh, Loki is there. Have I done Matt? I've done Matt. Who else is there? Mike Hertz from Not Another Arsenal podcast. Hashtag Where's Pirate? That doesn't really work. That doesn't need to rethink your hashtags. I hate people who get the hashtags wrong, eh, Mike? Yes, he pointed out that I got my hashtag wrong.
I thought you were talking to Mike Hurst. See, I'm telling you, I'm off kilter today.
You're very right there. First of all, we should say thank you to the lovely people at Manscaped. Have you got hairy testicles? Is your gooch overgrown and hairy? If you got a hairy bum, you may not want a hairy bum or any. Personally, I like to be a bit hairy. I think the ladies like it. We've got someone else there, Bergkamp. If you're hairy and you don't want to be hairy, go to manscaped.com. Use the code Bergkamp, get 20% off because they will do you a Lawnmower 3, which has 90 minutes. Yeah, in fact, you could shave your balls for 90 minutes rather than watching Arsenal play.
How does it work? How does it work on the perineum? Because mine is always smooth, but not everyone, has that kind of a perineum situation.
I do have an odd bald patch on the old the testy bag. I don't know why. Smooth as a baby's bum. I don't know. I think maybe I once had a stick stuck to it, and then so the hairs didn't grow. So So if you want to, and you do any pictures of you shaving a testicle, do send them in, and we forward them all to Chris's email, or we can just give you Chris's email address directly. So the people at Manscaped give us all things. We've all been shaving various parts of our body. I'm actually gone full-grown hair at the moment because Sean likes to put shit in my beard for Christmas. Yes, there you go behind me. I missed that bit of yellow.
You're actually looking exactly like that right now. You've kind of be-haired and under-haired and over-haired, but now you're looking exactly like the poster.
And there's my bit of yellow string. I'd be lost without my bit of yellow string. I wouldn't be able to move.
Femster's like, what the hell am I doing?
He's holding the brain in.
I'm just getting all these stats. Don't worry.
Oh,
Ready to unleash.
He's a man deep in thought. Right, so we should move on. Thank you very much to Manscaped. So go to manscaped.com, use the code Bergkamp for get 20% off, and let us know if you buy something. And if everybody goes and buys one thing, all of the millions of people who listen to this podcast, then they might sponsor us permanently. And then you can hear me waffling on about hairy testicles every single show, whether Chris is here or not, because he's a deviant. Right. Who else have we? Mike says so much hair. TBG, the bold gooner. I can't remember what the B stood for in the TBG. Jimmy H, 3 weeks in and my wife's balls are still smooth. Well, there you go. What better message would you want than knowing your missus has got hair-free balls? Loki, mine look like the last chicken in the shop at Manscaped. Oh dear, don't need that. Josh says Femi instantly regrets being on after that plug.
I think Loki meant to say mine or Mike. I think it might have been a typo.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it might be Mike. Yeah, indeed. Jimmy says, can we just shave Ozil? He is clearly the biggest dick. What needs to be cut? Oh, there you go. TBG saying hit the like button, people. Yeah.
Are we just avoiding talking about the game as long as we can? Is that what this is?
I don't know what you're talking about. Right, let's go and have a look at my show notes. I wasn't going to make any, and then I started getting into it, and then I started looking up stats, and I started getting angry. So we're going to start the show on a positive note, because we here at Bergkamp Wonderland, and possibly the people over at the Gooners podcast, we're positive podcasts. And so, Mike and Femi, I want you to pick out a few positives from the weekend's results, if possible. Have any of you got any positives? I shall wait here calmly.
Yeah. I think the most crosses a team has ever had without a shot on goal has been 9, and I think we exceeded that by 35. And we got 44. And where I come from, more is better.
Yes.
44 crosses, I think that's a positive. I think all we need to do now is have a big January where we sign Andy Carroll and Peter Crouch, and we'll be golden.
Oh, glory days! Can you pick out any positives from that?
Yeah, I think good positive. We've had over 120 crosses in the last 3 games, and we scored 1 goal. I think that's
is that a fact?
Positive about. Yeah, over 120 crosses in.
Just keep trying, Arsenal. Yeah. Just keep it up.
Oh no! I thought you were joking.
And another positive is second half teams seem to be afraid of us so much that they sit back and defend and don't actually come forward and pummel us. So that's a positive.
Oh no! 120 crosses, and that's why the only person scoring for us is Gabriel, because he's the only big lump we've got that can get up there and get the ball in. Oh, sad time. Is there any other positives, gentlemen, before we head nose first into the pit of shite that is supporting Arsenal at the moment?
It wasn't 8-2.
Yeah. See, people, that's 3 positives. We can cross a lot. It wasn't 8-2. And
it didn't make me any sicker other than just emotionally.
Oh, here we go. Here's a positive note. Craig from the Same Old Arsenal podcast. Very good show last night. You could see from the beginning of the show that the judge was like a whippet ready to get out of his cage at a racetrack. He's going, come on, let me out. Oh, dear. It was a very good show last night. Craig enjoyed that. He says, I want to see Mike eat a Baconator. I believe it's impossible. I actually was watching, for some reason, I don't know why, I was watching a video of when the judge was in America with you, and he was unwrapping a Baconator.
Well, that's because Craig said that he didn't think it could be done. I'm like, not only can it be done, but your beloved podcast spouse has had one before, and I've visualized it. I mean, if you don't, he's just said that he thinks me eating something large is impossible. Craig, I know we haven't met, but you do know me better than most, and there's nothing impossible about me eating any kind of burger with the word "ater" at the end of it. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get one delivered tonight, and by the time you wake up tomorrow, there'll be a nice video in your inbox.
Oh, hopefully. Jimmy H has made a good point. He says 3 years after, we're finally playing to Giroud's strengths. There you go.
Jimmy. That's good.
Do you hear on the? I take it you both listen to the Tuesday Club podcast.
I do when I listen to it as often as they do it, which because you can't listen to it. You can't listen to it more often than it's on. Well, then I don't listen to it every time they do it.
They made a very good point last night, Femi.
Who's got time for podcasts?
No one anymore. And they said, went in the January transfer window, when we're having a look at the bins at the back of Chelsea, like we usually do, and see what they've thrown away, it might be a good idea to get Giroud. If we had someone like Giroud, Femi, do you think that would help the situation? Would he be banging in 4 goals a game?
It's quite amazing, isn't it, that he's out of our 3 strikers that we replaced him with over £100 million worth of strikers. And honestly, if he was in our team, he would be perfectly made for our tailor-made for the way we play in every sense of the word. Even when we're not relentlessly crossing the ball, he was still tailor-made for the way that we played. So it's quite fascinating that you how money can distort things in football. You know, when they say so much money you can buy this and buy that, but sometimes it's not about money. You know, sometimes you can just look at players and how they fit into your system. So it's quite funny. Yeah.
So do you think maybe Giroud's sitting on the Chelsea bench crying, just for, like one of the ladies when it's coming up to lady time, and they just start crying for no reason, and then you go, "What's that? Oh, is it? Oh, fair enough." So is Giroud at Chelsea just bursting into tears for seemingly no reason at all, and then they realise,
wasn't there that thing that he scored like their last 5 or 6 Champions League goals, and some ridiculous thing like he scored in his last 4 Premier League starts?
Yeah, I don't think he's crying at all. I think he's completely forgotten about his time at Arsenal by this point.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Oh, dear.
Right. He's usual. What's it called? He has like these purple patches, doesn't he? And then he has these dry patches, as we always remember.
There's David Maudsley. See, it's not only English, not only foreign names I fuck up. David Maudsley says, can we swap Bellerin for one of the women? Actually, I reckon if we played my Dima up front, she'd do a damn better job with the current style. I mean, 120 crosses in 3 games. How many goals do you reckon she would have got? Because she is an absolute monster. When 68. It's all elbows. She's 68 brilliant. Goals. Yeah, it is. Oh, Rudy says, Giroud is laughing at us. Oh, Shredder is there. But is Giroud still asking for a threesome on Instagram? Oh, we've now got...
That must have been a direct message.
We've now got 2 Gooners that we know in North Carolina because Drew has moved there, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. He debuted his new pad last night on camera. During the Gooner talk. So
I thought, he's moved from New York, which is cold, to North Carolina, which is hot. And then I remembered the videos that Shredder does of coming out to his car and it's fucking knee-deep in snow.
Oh, yeah. North Carolina in the winter is not hot. But I heard that Drew moved the second he found out that Troops had moved to New York.
Oh, no.
We can't both be here at the same time. We can't both be in Brooklyn at the same time. It's just not going to work.
Oh, that's good news. Look, Shredder says, Drew and I will be hanging out soon. He lives about 10 miles from me. Well, there you go. We're having a Gooner loving. Talking of Gooners in America, it's Mr. Waffles, who looks like me, just with more hair. Well, we're wondering, aren't we, people? What other notes have I made? We've tried to pick some positives. Right, Mike, there's been lots of talk of dumping the first team and playing most of the Europa League team. Do you think this would work? Or would this work to any extent? Because as we saw in midweek, should we call them the youths? We shouldn't really call them the youths, should we? We should call the Halen products or reserves. Or
whippersnappers.
Possibly.
You know, I think there absolutely needs to be a change. I mean, you're going to see after Thursday anyway, a month or month and a half without European football anyway, as we always do, over the Christmas period. So, I think there's going to be a forced switch there anyway. But I would have started 2 weeks ago and started integrating and flip-flopping some of these players. I mean, there's only so much you can do with Pepe since he got himself out of the league for 3 games. That'll be over after Sunday, I think. But 100%, we should have been seeing more changes made to where some of our senior players, some of our 27 and olders are playing on Thursday night to keep themselves fresh. And we're starting to sprinkle some of these guys from Hale End in on Sundays. The Spurs game was always going to be tough because you want to rely on experience there. You want to rely on people who have been there before, played against this team before, understand the rivalry. But, before that, after that, now this Sunday, next Sunday, you've got to start seeing some of these kids come in, because the more I see Willian out there, the more I see you name it, Xhaka. Some of our starting 11 choices have been forced by injuries, but a lot of them haven't. And it's just the reliance on these same people and starting them in the league, whereas we're only giving our young guns time on Thursday and they're looking fine when we put them out there. Why not see what they have in the league? It's long overdue, and it's starting to grate on me, as it is with many people, that we're starting to see some of this foolish loyalty on Sundays and on Saturdays that is starting to turn some people against the gaffer. So
Femi?
I wouldn't switch the teams entirely. I wouldn't flip them completely, but you gotta get started with that.
Yeah, I thought you'd finish. You were just taking a breath because you're poorly. Just give me a wave when you finish, and then I won't interrupt.
I'll just pass out when I'm done, and then by the time you come to me again, I'll have...
You should have come round. Fem, do you think that could work? Because there's another note I've made, because I was busy making these. Now that the Europa League is out of the way, would you start to include more of them players and where? So I'm going to go and delete that while you talk about it.
Yes, most definitely. I think one of the things that I always said about when Emery was in charge was and I said this at the time, I said he's going to die on the Xhaka hill, because he refused to drop Xhaka and it ended up costing him his job as far as I'm concerned. So you cannot be loyal to players who are not giving anything, to be honest with you. I remember Wenger used to play players until they found form, but the one thing with the Wenger team is a Wenger team never went into free fall like this. If you lose 2-3 games max, you're drawing the next game a minimum 0-0, or the next couple of games. You will never lose 4, 5, 6 games in a row, or 4 out of 6 games. A Wenger team just never did that. So he kind of had rights to be loyal to some players, even though it cost him his job as well, as far as I'm concerned. But you're loyal to players to the point where it's to the detriment of the whole team. So now what you must think about is this: players that are not playing are watching this thinking, well, what do I need to do to get in the team? I mean, this guy, they're humans at the end of the day. They're thinking this guy is playing terribly. Imagine the performances that Bellerin's putting in. And Maitland-Niles has thought, okay, well, I stayed because on a promise that, I'd get game time. I'm not getting game time. The guy in front of me is not playing well. So what is the point of me? Do you see what I mean? So the motivation at some point, even for those players, will just go away. And then you're going to have more bigger problems once again, aren't you? Because people are just going to think, well, I can't be bothered because I could be in for one game and I will never get as many chances as that guy, as Williams got, for example. So then you've got this is where they start saying the manager loses the team or loses the squad, because I'm sure he's losing some of the players already.
It does make you wonder what he has seen in him and what all the managers seen in him. It's like David Maudsley has put there, what have 3 managers saw in Xhaka that we don't seem to see? Does anyone actually know? Because you look at the number of times against Spurs that he'd be over on the left-hand side, he'd get the ball, and then he'd stop. It's like he'd have a brain fart and go, oh, actually... he'd have a quick glance forward and go, don't like the look of that. And he'd always pass it sideways or more often backwards. And there'd be the only 2 things. You're thinking, well, hold on, how are we ever meant to get the ball to the people we've got up front if no one's going to give them the ball? And if his job isn't to pass to the people up front, then his job should be to sit in front of the back 4. But then you see Ceballos going around and you're thinking, well, I don't know what Ceballos' job is either. Because like I always say, you have 3 jobs as a midfielder. You either defend the back, or you create it in the middle, or you pass it to the people in front of you. And he's not doing any of those lot, especially when he's massively out of position all the time. Have you got any idea why he's doing that? Or what is Arteta or any of the other managers seeing in Xhaka that, like David says, that we can't see? Because quite frankly, it looks like he doesn't give a shit and he's not doing his job properly.
Well, it's 4 managers because whoever's managing the Switzerland national team, and there he actually plays well. So maybe we should be, watching tape of what they do and follow it. But it is bizarre because he is universally respected on and off the pitch by his peers and just his peers. Because I don't see it. I don't know very many people who do see it, even the most ardent backers of his, including Andy and some others that have kind of sang his praises in the past are just clueless as to why he keeps getting included. And it isn't like we have much to lose anymore by putting Maitland-Niles in that position. I mean, there are 2 people who need to be dropped for Maitland-Niles in the lineup every single week. He can only play one of the positions, but he's playing neither of them. And to me, it's bonkers at this point. That's the official football word, is bonkers.
Rudy
sorry.
Go on, Femi.
No, I've got. I mean, I stole this from someone. I don't even know who I got it from on Twitter, but it's key passes per 90 for Xhaka in his Arsenal career. So he started 2016-17, 1.26 key passes per 90. 17-18, 1.07. 18-19, which is probably the first Emery season, I'm guessing, 1.43. And then look at this from last season, 2019-20, key passes per 90, 0.55. And this season, 2020-2021, key passes per 90,
negative 4.
0.13. I mean, honestly, like, what is that? I mean, the amount of times he spends passing backwards to Gabriel is amazing.
What's the stat? Key passes?
Key passes per 90 minutes, 0.13.
The statistical trend that you're talking about is clearly, I mean, that resonates with me, but like, what is a key? Like, when you're watching the game, are you like, oh my God, that was a great key pass? I mean, and of course you have to use the accent like that too. But
I'm guessing they measure key passes as passes that actually make chances or break lines, basically. So I just
want to see, like, the XG and all that. I mean, I just want to, like, do they notice it during the game, or is that only not an XG, but that's he dribbled past him. I mean, do you keep track of that as you go along? I just want to know the person that does that.
Rudy's made a point here.
Don't they? Yeah.
He says, what a load of bollocks about Xhaka. Is Xhaka now our scapegoat? No, I don't think Xhaka's our scapegoat. Well, I know us Arsenal fans do like a scapegoat, but Xhaka is one of the problems. Xhaka, Bellerin, I think they're the 2 that we have the main problem with at the moment. And if you ever
first names on the team sheet when there's really no rational reason for it.
It does. I can't see any sense of it. Talking about stuff I can't see any sense with, I'm going to share a screen with all you lovely people tonight. Martinelli's making his comeback game, and look at that, people. Oh, I need to make it a little bit bigger. We're playing in the cup, our under-21s, and we have lost 2-0 away at Wimbledon. Saliba got sent off in the 89th minute, and Akinola got sent off in the 80th minute, and we had 6 bookings. So yeah, Martinelli came off at half time. So well done to Saliba there. He's finally had enough, and he's come out swinging and got sent off. So
he's a proper Gooner now.
So yeah, I thought I'd share that little nugget of wonderment with you. Let's see what else people are saying.
I saw the stats for that game. It's quite interesting. 0 shots and like 60-something% possession we had.
How is our U21 team not better than AFC Wimbledon's? And we had, I mean, this might be the answer, or it might make it even more confusing, but Sokratis was playing in that game. And I mean, I thought it was a U41 game when I first saw it, but I mean, that was one of the more experienced lineups that we could have had as a U21, and we can't even score against Wimbledon. This virus has gone very, very deep into the club. Everything I say today is going to have to do with a virus. It's going to be virus.
Femi, you were beavering away with some stats. What have you got for the lovely listeners? What can you tease them with? Your internet seems to be a little bit occasionally. Is someone daring to use the internet?
Watch this. Okay, I'll fix that in a second. But one of the other ones that I had, this one's quite funny actually. This was from the LT Arsenal account about Aaron Ramsey in his last 2 seasons. 17 goals, 20 assists in 4,637 minutes, a goal or assist every 125 minutes. Arsenal entire midfield since Ramsey left, 12 goals, 14 assists in 16,282 minutes, a goal or assist every 626 minutes. Imagine that.
I have a statistic for you. We fucking suck. In 100% of the last 100 games that we've played, we suck.
Rudy also makes a point. He says, let's talk about our captain. It's like you've read my notes, Rudy. I'll go and find my notes about our captain. Diddly, where am I? I did have it here. Oh, there you go. Aubameyang has played the full 90 minutes in all 11 Premier League games this season. He has scored 1 goal and 1 penalty, meaning 2 goals. So the first part of that, Mike, is would resting help him? And we have won 2 out of the last 9 Premier League games. 1 versus Sheffield United, who have 1 point all season, and 1 we beat Man United with a penalty. So that's we were lucky to that. And with Sheffield United, we only beat them 2-1. Has the time come when we start looking at Aubameyang being the problem, and should we be resting him, or do we look at other things?
I mean, I don't see why he can't be rested for a game. I mean, I was not in favor of resting him against Spurs. I was really hoping that the occasion would be one that he would rise to, and absolutely he did not. He just looks lost out there, and I do think sometimes a game from the sidelines can help, even with somebody as experienced and prolific in the goal-scoring arena as he is. I might be inclined to play him tomorrow and for at least 60 minutes or so, and see if he can recapture his form with a few other people around him that are that are maybe a little more creative these days, a little bit more energetic in the midfield, in the younger folks arena, and then give Balogun a try on Sunday. I mean, why not? I'm not going to say that he's, Balogun's going to be better than Aubameyang, but, it's time for a game off. He needs to kind of rejuvenate, get that feeling of missing being out there, of, I would have done that differently, because I think he's just jaded right now. I think he's jaded. He's lost. He's annoyed with what's going on around him. He misses his buddy who moved to New York. And he just needs maybe, to take a game off, and Burnley's probably a good one to do it.
Who moved to New York?
Some guy selling T-shirts.
Oh, God. Yeah, you bowled me there. I had no idea what you were talking about. Ken, what do you think?
I think the opposite. I think he should play on Thursday against Dundalk.
That's what I said.
Oh, sorry.
No, I said I'd play him on Thursday and give him a break on Sunday.
Oh, okay. I thought you said just give him a break. No. Yeah, you're right. I think he should, definitely play on Thursday. I think we remember, I can't remember Ian Wright ever going through this, but I remember, Ian Wright, any chance he got to score a goal, he lived for it. And that's what goal scorers are. They live for goals. So once he gets a couple of goals, I'm hoping that it will improve. So he did score in the Europa League, didn't he, in the first game? That cut across from Bellerin, and he came in and flashed the ball in the back of the net. So he can play on Thursday up front, him, and just let him go. Let him have a run out. Consistently dropping him in midweek isn't doing anything either, is it? So I have this thing about consistently dropping first team players in midweek, that it doesn't help their form, or for them to find form either. So I don't know. It's a tough one, because he's carried us for basically 3 years. Let's be honest. His goals have carried us, so he does deserve some sort of understanding, I guess. When his XG is so high, he was literally taking any chance that he got, but now he hardly gets a chance. So it must be frustrating for him as well. And any chance that he does get, it's not an Aubameyang chance. It's not with his feet or anything like that. It's usually a header or something that he has to work hard to do. I can't remember the last time that
cross. You mean?
Yeah, from a cross. Yeah, I can't remember the last time we saw a through ball to Aubameyang. I mean, when last did you see that?
FA Cup final.
Yeah, so you've got that. So
well, that's why I think if you mix him into if you want to call it the Europa League squad, if you get some of that player mixture changed up a little bit. I mean, it doesn't have to be the same front five all the time, or four out of the same front five. It can be different players, and what you're trying to do is get the midfield connected to Aubameyang in a way that he likes the ball played to him. You should play to his strengths, because that's the only way we're going to get. I mean, if we're relying on him for 2/3 of our goals, as bad as that is, we at least need that back, and then try to start finding secondary scoring, because right now we have no scoring.
Did the manager ever says to the players, like, why aren't you playing well? What do you want from this side? Whether they have a team meeting and go, what do you want from this side? Because Alan was saying on the podcast yesterday that I listened to yesterday that there's been another bust up at the club, because you've had a couple with was it Xhaka's had a couple?
Well, I think
Luiz and Ceballos is the one that seems to get into the.
I think what this was they had a I call it the Theo Walcott clear the air meeting, the one that Theo always used to come out and tell us. But it's quite weird, wasn't it? That Theo used to tell us about this in February or March, after we'd been stuffed by Barcelona or Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Then Theo would come out and say, "Yeah, we've had a team meeting, clear the air." Now we're having team meetings in November, December, which is amazing. So they've had a team meeting with all the coaches and the players, and apparently the coaches have left, and then the players have got into each other basically, and apparently it ended amicably with, this is how we're going to go forward.
That all sounded great, and then we shit the bed again on Sunday. So I mean, what good did that? Normally, that meeting has not necessarily a long-lasting effect, but an immediate effect, and we've seen neither. So, I don't know what this group is capable of anymore. There's so much broken about this assembly of people in the dressing room, in the boardroom, in every room around the Emirates. It's hard to know where to start at this point, but it is so broken, and I don't know how it continues to be this way.
And even if someone didn't know anything about football, you'd say, well, if you're putting 120 crosses in, do you have a big bloke up front who's good in the air? And you go, I don't think Aubameyang has ever headed the ball because he's scared that he might mess what's left of his hair up.
He scored three headers in 3 years for Arsenal.
So, but we all know that.
You know that off the top of your head.
But we all know that I was talking to Sean's mum about this, and even she doesn't even watch football that much anymore. And she was saying, "But isn't Aubameyang quick?" I said, "Aubameyang's quick. Who else is there? Saka's quick, and Lacazette isn't overly quick. But we should be do to every other team what Spurs did to us. Now, I suppose we should talk about the Spurs game a little bit. Femi, did it remind you of the Leicester game where we were all shouting at the telly? They're going to hold us for 60 minutes, bring on Vardy, and then get us on the counter-attack. We all knew that was going to happen, and that's exactly what happened. And we all know from football that what Spurs do, they park 3 or 4 buses, and they let you attack, and then they get you on the break. And they got us on the break, and they did exactly the same thing twice, the same thing that Leicester did to us. How doesn't the manager see this coming when all he has to do is look at Twitter? And everyone's screaming at him. That's what you need to do, as well as fuck off and kill Xhaka, which I think you should ignore. But how can us, as people who know nothing about football, because if we did, we'd be doing something with our lives rather than sitting here criticising people who do it for a living. How do we know and Arteta doesn't know?
It's quite scary. This one's quite scary for me, because this is where I start getting worried. To be fair, after the game, I felt quite optimistic. I was like, okay, that wasn't as
after the game.
Yeah, I thought I was actually the one in most of my groups saying, cheer up. It can only get better. This is rock bottom, and we to be fair, we weren't as bad as we've been in the last few weeks, which says a lot. But for me, it's quite.
Well, then it wasn't rock bottom. Then then we're on our way back up again after the 2-0 loss.
Yeah. So my thing is, this is the same Mourinho tactic that he used against Wenger, and Wenger fell into the trap every single time. We just against who was he managed? Chelsea. Every single time we knew what was going to happen, and there was no way to stop it. We knew that Kane drops deep, and he gives it to Son. He does that every game. Last game, Son was playing on the opposite side, the right hand side. This game, of course, they know that our weak, and nearly every goal that we concede comes from that right side. It's against Villa, they scored 3 goals and a disallowed goal were all from that side. So Mourinho is not a fool. He's not anybody's fool. He knows exactly what he's doing. And we played right into it. Was like children just handing.
Isn't that kind of Arteta's job under Pep? Wasn't it kind of supposed to be about film and tactics and getting a sense? I mean, Pep's smart enough to know how teams play anyway and adapt. But I mean, wouldn't that kind of have been his role as an assistant coach, is to specifically look at these opposing coaches and know what they're going to try to do, so that when he's the head coach of a team that is playing against a Jose Mourinho team, especially this one, where we know what their strengths are, that we could game plan for that? Or do you think he did and the players just completely didn't carry it out? Because that's a possibility as well.
What's quite funny, isn't it?
It still reflects poorly on Arteta, but I mean, could he have just missed that?
Because one of the players, I remember one of his early things, he said, he tells us exactly what's going to happen on the pitch, and it always happens. I don't know if you remember that, one of the interviews that the players gave. It might have been Luiz, but one of them said everything he tells us that's going to happen, it happens. But now he's turned into he's just. It's weird because I said that I wouldn't do this, but honestly, if
turned into Wenger,
if I took the name Arteta out and the fact that I like the way he talks, I like what he says, I like him as a person. If I said, if this was Emery or end of era of Wenger, how would I feel about these performances, these results, all of this? And he just looks lost, to be honest with you. He looks like he doesn't know whether to go defensive, go attacking, or now that he's not scoring, he feels the best way to rectify that is to go ultra attacking against a team that that's what they love, that they live for that. They want to head the ball out 100 times. They'll still be there heading the ball out right now if it was up to them. That's what Mourinho teams live for, and we played right, and it's so hard to watch Arteta just look so lost and just make wrong decision after. Even when you look at the lineup, I mean, I've been saying this, the squad management is pathetic, to be honest with you. You cannot go into a game and have 4 central midfielders on the bench, and you're playing that badly, and you can only make 2 changes. Like, come on! Like, there's managers begging for 5 subs at the moment. We're making 2 changes on bad performances. It's so worrying.
Do you think that we should get a T-shirt printed that says, "We like him. We're not really ready for him to leave yet. We really want to see this turn around, but we're starting to get alarmed at some of the things that we're starting to see happen that are reminding us of Emery and late stage Wenger." And that T-shirt, I think, would sell massively.
And you could put a .com at the end of it, and that would take you straight to the Gooners podcast, like the other.
You know what? One question I'd like to ask is: have you ever witnessed a manager of any top team or any team, to be honest with you, go this low, this quickly, and then recover for it to be? I don't think I've ever seen it before. But
Alex Ferguson, but that was a different age, and that was a different age. I dare say he would have been sacked in less than a season if it was the current day Manchester United.
Oh, this is it, because Leicester won the league. They were around this position. They sacked Ranieri within a few games.
Yeah, That's a great example.
Chelsea won the Champions League. They didn't even get this low, and they sacked Di Matteo. He wasn't experienced, was he? They just got rid of him quickly. Who else? There's been multiple. The Southampton manager, someone Loki73 said, I think yes, I guess maybe, but he Southampton. What's the expectation? What, finished 10th maybe? I've never, in any big club in Europe, I've never seen anything like this before. As in, to go this low, keep the manager and recover. It would be a miracle, to be honest with you.
Someone's brought up a good point here. Richard Garrett. Anybody remember Arteta's loss when he managed City for a game? Does anybody know? Because I do. I've gone and found it.
Against Leon.
I don't know why I bother asking you on. Apparently, he was managed against Leon in the 19th of September 2018 during a Guardiola's touchline ban, and they lost 2-1. So no one can ever say.
Home as well,
Danny's done a brilliant job of guest picking, because between the two of us, we have one really smart person. You're 1.5 smart people, and I'm negative a half. But yeah, I remember when he lost to Leon. Yeah,
no, you don't. I don't. I don't even remember they played Leon. I don't know. I don't even know who he is. But
Leon.
where do we go from here? We can't sack him, can we? I was just looking at the contracts. First, the problem with I think part of the problem is it's like trying to make a slap-up 3-course meal, and you've got the Wenger and you've got the Emery leftovers, and they're a bit rancid now, and Arteta doesn't want them, but yet he's been forced to try and make a lovely 3-course meal. It's not going to happen. But we look, in the summer, Ceballos' loan is up. Are we going to keep Ceballos? Are we going to keep another loan, or are we going to buy him? I don't think so.
I think it's running its course, I think, at this point. I mean, I don't know how much, if he was available to be bought over the summer last year. I heard 25, I heard 40, which was absurd, but I just don't know that he's consistent enough to be what we need going forward, especially if there's any possibility of bringing in one of these other midfielders that we've been linked with, and now so is everyone else that has more money than we are. We do. Is Ronaldo about to score a penalty against Barcelona? Yes, he is. Let's sign him.
Femi,
he still got something.
Femi, would you keep? So I'm just going to go through the players that are going to go. There's 5. Would you keep Ceballos? Would you offer him another loan, or would you buy him, or say adios?
Adios, amigo.
Okay, next one, Femi. Let's look at the centre backs. Luiz and Mustafi, both of their contracts are up at the end of June. Would you try? Well, Mustafi's already said no. Luiz?
No. I like him as a guy. But
I don't think that's enough.
So we can sign him. We can sign him to a guy contract, which is a lot less expensive. He just hangs out.
No, because he's hardly played, has he, this season? Every time he plays, he gets injured, and Mustafi's played 0 Premier League games. So no thanks. It's all right.
I was on. I was on a podcast with you, Mike. Was it your podcast when I was on with Sophie? I think it was.
Yeah,
a couple of weeks ago, and I went and found something along the lines of David Luiz has played 53 games for Arsenal, and 9 times during those games he's either been subbed off, sent off, or injured.
Yeah. I like him being around, especially with the younger Brazilian guys. I mean, I thought it was probably the reason that he was re-signed was to kind of bed in Gabriel and be there for some of the other Portuguese-speaking fellows on our team. But I mean, next year, how much less is he going to have to offer than this season? And if we're not, if he's still our first option, we're in trouble. We need to have younger, stronger, and more consistent guys who will not get red cards every game, or a red head.
Have you heard the rumors that you leave too long gaps between speaking, young man? And I'm not looking at screens.
I have a respiratory virus at the moment.
I'm dying. Leave me alone. The old Chelsea player Ramirez. I always thought he was about 5'4", but he's not. He's 5'11". He went from Chelsea to play in China. He was there for 3 years, and then he went to Palmeiras in Brazil, and he only played 22 games. He's 33, just been given and released. And there was talk that we want Ramirez at the club. I couldn't remember how tall he was.
Can we sign Shevchenko as well? And in 10 years, can we sign Arjen Robben?
His agent isn't Kia, is it? So has to be a Kia client, doesn't he?
That's true.
Yes. Right. Next players we're going to look at is here we go. Ozil and Sokratis. Well, we know Sokratis isn't playing because he's past it. He's playing for the under-21s, and Ozil, and we know Ozil's not going to get a new contract. So, what's your thoughts on the fact that Femi on Ceballos, Macy, Mustafi, Luiz, Ozil, Sokratis? I mean, that is going to free up best part of what £700,000 a week, maybe £600,000 a week in wages, and then will we see Arteta coming into his own and getting his own players?
That will that might be a good compensation for the fact that we won't be in Europe. all the wages, those guys' wages will that's probably our European what's it called, sponsorship money or whatever you get for Europe, just saving on their wages. No, we're not going to do Ozil talk, I don't think.
I hear he's coming to DC United is the latest I've heard. And
that would be amazing, please.
So I can go in person and boo him some more. But
so I mean,
we can't go any further down, actually, DC United. So that would be interesting to see. But
well, apparently he's got all the answers to everything. So you guys might win the league whenever he turns up. Okay. No, it would be it will be an interesting summer. It's another one of those summers that we said that we will be waiting for something to happen. Basically, we had one of these summers a few years ago where Gazidis was promising us. I think it was 2014. He said, "Oh, wait till you see what we can do in this summer. Wait till you see what we can do in this summer." And it's about what you do when you get rid of all these players, all these wages, all these contracts. You know, our squad is just ridiculous at the moment. I mean, I was looking at it today that Kolasinac hardly played, Maitland-Niles hardly played, Cedric made the bench once. There's so many, and then you're not talking about Mustafi, you're talking about Ozil, Sokratis. Like, we are just wasting money, to be honest with you. It's just a wastage. It's just poor management, and that's one of the things that I'd really love.
And all these players we're talking about coming off the books, they're all leaving for free.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're not even getting £4 million for any of those guys.
Exactly.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, we have mismanaged. I mean, this club has been just mismanaged from the top to the bottom. We're
the Bernie Madoff of football clubs.
Yeah, we've been had by agents. We've been bullied by players. It's just disgusting way of just. I like when I try to get my head around it. I'm like, how can a club be run this way? Let alone a club that's supposed to be a giant, big club, you know, that's got a big stadium, training ground. Everything is set up for success, but you just mismanagement, consistently changing direction. We don't even know what the direction is now.
And I honestly thought that the man to stop that from happening was Raul Sanyehi, except it was his hand in the till that was, you know, I mean, it was a different kind of mismanagement. He, you know,
see what you did there.
It's you know, you go from one kind of dysfunction to the other. But Femster, I agree with you. We're just the easy, both on and off the pitch. We're the easiest mark for someone looking to take advantage of somebody, and we're supposed to be this just huge worldwide football brand, and I just honestly think people in the boardroom, in the sponsorship arena, on the pitch, coaches, they just laugh at us, and it's so much more than any one person. I'm looking on the screen and seeing Aaron Ramsey playing for Juventus in the Champions League against Barcelona, and you know, this is it's just one thing after another. But I mean, we are the easiest mark, and it just, I don't know how you dig out of that. It takes maybe a decade to dig out of that, because it permeates so far through the club. You can't just make one signing or one boardroom change or one coaching change and dig out from underneath that, because it's systemic through the entire organization. And I guess that is why. And I guess that's why people blame Stan Kroenke. They blame him for reasons that aren't really fair, in my opinion. But I mean, the one constant that you can say is, of all these things happening, who's at the very top? And I guess that's the answer.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I know Drew always has, a lot to say about Kroenke. In terms of investment, I kind of get it, but in terms of management I'm not really one for companies and whatnot, or comparing companies to football teams, but imagine I watch NFL, so Robert Kraft, for example. Imagine something like that happening under his watch, as in his club or the Patriots are going so downhill, and he just doesn't even recognize it, which is what I see. Like they hire the wrong people, they put their trust in the wrong people. If it's a one-off, I can understand, but when you're continuously having this cycle of people just coming in and out of the club, and it's like, we're going this direction now, we're going the Sven Mislintat direction, then we're going the data, then we're not going data, then we're sacking scouts, we're sacking our whole scouting team, we're going Rouse Enhei, we're going Edu, we're going Kia Jarabchin, we're going, it's all a big and until you just say, okay, we need to just stop and let's rethink what we're doing here and make a proper plan, for God's sake.
Well, and the difference between us and Liverpool is that,
long list.
Well, yes, but the similarities are actually more striking than the differences. It's just that the differences have had such a massive impact all the way through the club. I mean, you got two American owners who don't know shit about football, much less Premier League football, and therefore put their trust in a group or a dynamic of management that is supposed to be an expert on that. And the difference is that Fenway Group got shit right, and we ended up with Arsene Wenger being the consolidated control of everything happening in the club, because he had kind of held it together with tape and glue and gum and stuff for so many years, and kept us in the Champions League while we were arguing amongst owners over who would be the majority owner. And that's just led to one bad appointment over the next. And it really, this club isn't going to be fixed from the bottom up. It's going to be fixed from the top down. But I don't know how many times they can keep reconfiguring things. And the play on the pitch can be fixed from the bottom up, at least temporarily. I mean, we need better players, we need better coaching, we need better tactics, we need all of that. But we're going to continue being suckers and making poor decisions and being taken advantage of if things don't change from the top. And I just don't know which is the most important to start with.
And I'm looking in the chat, and I think some people are talking about Wenger and David Dean and Gazidis. One thing that I'll say about Wenger, I mean, I was as much, not Wenger out, but I thought it was time for a change and everything. But where we've now, this is going to be really controversial, I'm going to say, but bear with me, I'll explain. Where we are right now, the model that we've decided to rip up and put this model in place, Wenger would be the perfect manager right now for the team. That sounds really stupid, and Arteta would be the perfect assistant for him. Arteta, tactically and brain-wise, we can see that there's something there. Management, as a manager, he's making a lot of mistakes. But Wenger, if he was manager right now, we have a vacuum right now of leadership. You have literally got Vinay, Edu, and Arteta. That's it. That's it. There's nothing else. They've got rid of Femi. They've got
Tim Lewis, but that's not affecting the on pitch performance.
If you had someone like Wenger in charge right now, he would literally be able to model the club the way he wants to. Now, he wouldn't have a Gazidis just butting heads. We knew that they were butting heads. No one needed to tell us. He doesn't need to tell us in his book, which he didn't anyway. We knew that Wenger and Gazidis didn't.
He didn't tell us much, did he?
But if Wenger was there now, he could literally, because he has the right in the core. Wenger has the right values. He knows the values that he wants out of Arsenal. He knows what he wants Arsenal to stand for. He knows that he will not let Arsenal Football Club get taken for mugs, to be honest with you, which at the moment I feel like we are getting taken for mugs. He knew that he had to stand up for the club. These are the types of things that we're missing right now. You know, we yes, Wenger is not a good manager, but like I said, if Arteta was a coach under Wenger or assistant under Wenger, I think we would be in a different position. I don't think we'd be as lowly as we are right now. And that's just my opinion. The model that we've built right now is built for Arsene Wenger, not for a young, inexperienced manager who's literally sinking before our very eyes.
Right.
I don't know about that. I mean, I respect the opinion and I can see where you're going with it, but I don't. I think the game in 2016 had passed him by, or he was too stubborn to keep up with it. He thought it would come back to him, I guess, and it didn't. And so I don't think anything's changed since then. I think it's continued to be a little too money driven, a little too tactic driven. I think the players that have success in the Premier League are very different. Have different skill sets and different personalities than they did in the early 2000s when he brought in all of his fancy Frenchmen who dominated the league at that point. And it's just I don't see that happening.
It was controversial.
I don't think you can go. But well, and the fact that I disagree with it doesn't make it wrong. It probably actually supports your opinion more than anything else. But could we be doing better than we are right now? I don't see how we could be doing worse. I think he could keep us up.
I want to go back to the point that someone made in the chat. It was
and Wenger doesn't listen to assistants. That's true. So as Darren said, Arteta being his assistant would have just made Arteta into Steve Bold Mach 2.
Why can't I find it? It was Richard Garrett said. Here we go. How about this, Femi? Richard Garrett, Guendouzi carried Unai Emery for many games. Was it right to have loaned him out and Torreira? Do you think that we would be better off if they were both still at the club?
I don't want to be revisionist about this because we're doing bad.
It's hard not to be, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay. As a player, his drive, yes, good. His immaturity, not good. He's what you got to remember is his goals and assists record, not good at all. But is he better than what we have? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Is Torreira and Guendouzi were the future when we signed them. They were the future. We dubbed them as the future. Emery messed around with Torreira so much that he didn't know whether he was coming or going.
Kills me. That I saw nothing wrong with Torreira except his play suffered when he was screwed with.
Shifted around, shifted around, and we missed Guendouzi. I would say we missed Guendouzi. I'd say that's something that I'm a bit worried about with Arteta. Is he keeping some grudges that he doesn't need to be keeping? Because obviously I get where he's coming from. Mentality, shift the culture, shift the mentality. But when you fall out of when too many players are falling out of favor or just disappearing into nothing, basically, then are you really shifting the culture? If the results are bad, what culture are you shifted? There's no culture to shift because you're just going to have a demoralized squad.
I think the Guendouzi thing depends on what you believe and what you hear, though, because I think after the Brighton debacle, in which he was both showing why he's so valuable to the team and why he's such a liability to the team at the same time. Only guy that had Leno's back in that game, but then also the way he went about it, as far as the whole wage packet thing, is just childish and ridiculous. But I mean, apparently it goes well beyond that. Went on to his behavior on the training pitch. It went into how he reacted to a meeting with the club about his discipline. He did apparently not show the same level of remorse. And if you're looking at a new coach who is trying to establish himself in our dressing room, and you have a guy who's not only showing through his actions, but in a meeting giving indications that he's not really learning from his situation, then that could potentially be a threat to chemistry. And so I don't know that isn't what happened, and why why he got blackballed a little bit more than you might think he should have for what happened. And if that's the case, you got to not let there be trouble and players like that in the dressing room. But getting rid of him certainly hasn't resolved the issues in the dressing room, because they're still there. Torreira, he was a $24 million pound signing that I think should be worth $50 million right now if we had utilized him correctly, and we just haven't. And that's a miss. I really loved him at Arsenal. I thought he offered a lot, and we could certainly use him in the midfield right now.
I think Torreira's Guendouzi's contract is up at the end of this season or next season.
Next season, so
he's not going to sign.
He's not going to sign a new contract, is he? And that means
we'll end up selling him for like £11 million.
Yeah, you're going to have to sell him. You're going to have to sell. I mean, Torreira's doing well in Madrid, so you're going to have to sell Torreira. So then you
could sell Guendouzi for probably 10 to 12 million pounds to Germany, and then in 2 years he'll go to France for about 40 to 50 million pounds. That's exactly what's going to happen with him.
Look at this from Waffles. He ain't shifted shit. He's alienated most of the potential leaders in his team.
And can we talk about that? Because I've been Arteta in just vehemently since the start, and he's just. We may have touched on this a little bit earlier. I have a very bad short-term memory right now, but he's making some decisions in man management situations that are just bewildering right now. Thomas Partey injury thing, the way he's handled the Willian to Dubai thing. I mean, it's the one thing I thought we could count on Mikel Arteta changing was his man management compared to Unai Emery, who was awful. And everything is unraveling for him in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, what you could go on and on with the man management. I think he's been dealt a bad.
It's shocking me.
Yeah, he's been dealt a bad hand with our number 10. To be fair, I'm not going to mention his name. That's a bad hand to be dealt, because the club seemed to have hired two managers and given them preconceptions of a player. So I'm guessing in the interview they've said, well, this guy is trouble. It just seems that that's something like that. But then what the club haven't done is actually done what they needed to do, which is shift the player out. And then what they made so many mistakes of, you cannot have a massive squad with players that are clicks with other players that you are alienating. Basically, you're gonna run into problems if the results don't fall for you. If now you've got Ozil not playing, you've got his mate Kolasinac not playing, Mustafi not playing, and the results are bad, they are not. Listen, let's be real. Footballers are not robots. They are humans, and they are talking behind his back. They are stirring stuff somewhere or another. Ozil was stirring stuff on Twitter. Yeah. He's stirring on Twitter, so that means he's
not wait until he's gone.
He's definitely stirring within player groups. There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt that players will be talking now. They'll be like, this guy, like he thought, come on, he's not the real deal, is he? Like, I'll be here long after he's got all those little things that that we think. These guys are humans. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah, and Ozil is a popular figure in that dressing room. Yeah, I mean, for better or for worse, he has a lot of sway still, and we know how close he is with Kolasinac, and I was going to say Flamini, but I guess Flamini probably doesn't have much influence anyway. But I mean, it's until he is gone, and literally just maybe a year or two gone, his impact is going to continue to be felt. I just can't wait until all that. The 25% of our supporter base that's here just for him leave along with him, because it's just a toxic environment as long as he's anywhere involved.
It's like that Chris got he set up an online petition And he's
I
just
saw that today.
a moron. And it's 17,000 people have signed it. Well, it's probably 17,000 times that he's had different email addresses.
Who did?
There's some bloke on Twitter, and he's got if in the UK there's a petition.org, I think it's called, and if it gets 100,000 signatures, then it has to be brought up in Parliament, and they have to discuss it if they don't move it on for some reason.
And this is about Mesut Ozil being moved on.
It must be re-registered as a player and used. Now that sums up the intellect level of some of our supporters, where you think, oh yeah, we'll just get a petition up and then make Arteta play him, Fem. It's ridiculous.
I can see John Bergkamp bringing that up in Parliament. He's a Gooner. Is he still the speaker?
No, gone.
He's gone. All right. Well, maybe we'll have him on the pod again now that he can talk freely.
Yeah.
Did you want to say on that, Femi?
No. I just find it interesting that we hold on to these players, and I go back to the days where we were losing players like Vieira and players like Henry. Me literally almost bursting into tears, and I just think now we're holding on to players, and that I just think, well, why are we fighting about these players? They're nothing compared to what we lost back in the days, and back then we used to say there's no one player bigger than the club, and now it seems like there's some certain players that are bigger than the club, and it should never be the case, ever. So the sooner that we break this up, if it takes Arteta to do it, unfortunately for Arteta, it's not just that. There's so many issues that when all your underlying stats say that you're a bottom 4 club, there's your shots conceded, your shots taken, your goals scored, your like everything, and it's not just for like half a season. It's like for almost a year now. Every single stat says that you're between 15th and 20th. That's very scary, and that's not on. To be honest with you, that's where you start saying, "Hold on a minute, mate. You gotta do something different. Not just keep throwing the same thing at the wall. It's not worked for a year, so it's not automatically just going to work."
Talking about having issues, a little something that I've written down. Do we want to talk about the Bellerin foul throws? If we do, I'll do that after. Right, I'll put here, what happened with Partey? He just walked off just as Spurs started their counter-attack for the second goal, leaving it a 5-on-2 in their favour. Arteta shoved him back on, and then they scored. So this is the Arteta quote. "I was trying to push him. I don't think he realised the gravity of the situation when he left his position. But probably it was because he was in a lot of pain. There's nothing we can do at the moment to resolve that. It was too quick. We were through. I think it was a 4-against-3 situation for us to play the final ball. And we were through, and suddenly they are coming to us, and Thomas is walking to me, and I tried to push him. I haven't spoken to him." I don't know when this was taken, when this quote is from. "I don't know exactly how it happened. I felt something really serious. I will look at it and we will talk about it." Now, a few stats from that. Apparently, Partey is now out for 2 to 3 months. It's Arsenal, so you could add Arsenal VAT onto that, and it could be 6 months. Right, he's been out in his entire career. He's been out injured twice. Last season for Atletico, hamstring injury, missed 1 game. 2015-16, hamstring injury, missed 5 games. Now, since he's been with us, he started 4 of the 7 Premier League games he's been here for, and he's come on once and gone off twice injured, Mike. What do you make of that? How could this be going wrong already?
We suck. You get forced to be in a position where you try to do too much, and ultimately, your body suffers for it. I mean, he wasn't that badly hurt, presumably initially, but he rushed back, and how do we know that he wasn't limping to the sidelines in a way where most people wouldn't have even been able to walk? But I disagree with Arteta there. I think he was in the wrong. If he was, I think it's wrong to question his heart, and wrong to question. I mean, he's only been with us a month and a half or so, but that he's not known as a player who's soft or who avoids contact or pressure-filled situations. I mean, he was brought here because he's kind of a destroyer with skill, and it was exactly what we've been looking for. So to criticize his personality or his I'm struggling for the word, but his intensity because of that injury, I think is the wrong example to set. As for why he's gotten hurt, I mean, that's just Arsenal. I don't know how to explain it. People get hurt when they come here, and they get hurt worse, and they get hurt for longer, and they get better slower, and they take longer to get good once they do get better, and that's just the way it works. It doesn't matter which Lewin or which other doctor is in charge of our people, but it's just an injury fest.
Didn't you have one of the Lewins on your podcast recently?
With the Lewins?
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
No, I've been. Somebody did actually. I saw that, but they're on our list. I'm working on it.
What do you make of all this, Fem?
See, this is another sign of panic, as far as I'm concerned, because
there's a lot of signs.
A week ago, I think Darren Arsenal had said he heard Partey's out for 6 weeks. That's what he said on the thing. No, 2 weeks ago actually, and then Arteta randomly last week said, "Oh yeah, he's pushing me to come back to training. He's pushing me to come back, and we'll see how the scans are." Now, for me, it's just pure panic. As in, this is so avoidable. Okay, fair enough. You think he's ready. Scans might show he's ready, but as a manager, you take your time, you assess every situation, you think of how many games you're playing, you think of what's to come, and you think, is it worth the risk? Okay, so you decide it's worth the risk. Okay, now, on his part, Mr. Partey, I'm going to say he's a man that played for Simeone for many years. I guarantee you, if he made that move, and Simeone, he wouldn't have even thought about it, to be honest, to come off the pitch in the Simeone team. At the most, he would have been on the floor, like someone said here. I think someone said, Nick says he would have been falling to the ground, screaming to the ref to stop the game. That's what he should have done. You do not walk off the pitch. I've seen that. I've seen Arteta. I saw it when we were allowed to go to the stadium. I've seen him tell players. I think Maitland-Niles rolled off the pitch once while the game was still going on. When you're down and you're near the touchline, and he kind of went off and he told him, get back on the pitch so the game can stop. You are an experienced player.
They're not going to stop the game, though. I mean, I agree with what you're saying.
Fair enough. They might not have stopped the game, but imagine a Mourinho player doing that.
Well, they would have grabbed his head, and I mean that he could have done is grabbed his head.
A Mourinho player would have not. I mean, Mourinho would have actually gone on the pitch and dragged the player off if he ever did that. You cannot. That's a rookie mistake from all of them, all the way around. But now the consequences are dreadful, to be honest, because he's looked so good and he's only played like 3.5 games, and it's so sad. Now we're literally going to be without him for majority of the season now, if you're talking 2 months, and the 2 months that he's missing is now the 2 months that there's no international football and there's non-stop Premier League football.
And there's no European football.
And there's no European football. So it's literally he's missing league game after league game.
He's going to miss about 14 league games in 2 months.
Yeah, there you go. So it's just when you're locked out, isn't it?
Right.
I mean, you can't. You got to find some other things in your life at this point to like live your life about, because I mean it's not going to get any better anytime soon. We might crawl out of 15th, we might not, but I mean I'm just I'm trying to look at the bright side, because I just can't. There's no explanation. I can't take it anymore.
The bright side is that I'm a sucker for this. We're still only like 4 or 5 points off of like 5th or 6th or something like that.
Someone put a thing up that Man United were in the similar stage last season. You need a run of 2 or 3 games, and also we've played.
Where's that going to come from?
We've played 4 of the top 5 teams away from home.
Yeah, but we've got zero. We've got 0 points from them.
I know those were all the bright spots that we were talking about 4 weeks ago, and hey, we got Leeds United, Aston Villa, and Burnley, and those games coming up, sandwiched around a difficult game against Spurs, and we can't even. I mean, we're not beating Burnley on Sunday. We're not.
Someone is going to get a walloping from us sooner or later.
Well, yeah, we don't. Dundalk is going to get a walloping from us.
This is my thing. Is if we were like losing 3-2 or 4-3 or something and having shots. I mean, we used to lose like 2-1 on the Wenger, where the opposition would have 2 shots and we would have like 35 shots or something. That was painful. But this is just like, it's got to the point where you just watch the game thinking, well, there's nothing to even be angry about because there's nothing happening. We don't create chances. We don't shoot. That's more worrying because, in football, they always say a striker that misses a lot of chances, at least he's getting in there. We don't create anything, which is the biggest worry. And
we have the ball. It's not like we're trying to walk it in, but we have the ball in an attacking position and we don't take shots. Bellerin, I think, did that a couple times in the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's just take a friggin' shot. Make the goalkeeper do something. Maybe he'll he'll punch it back at you and he'll do a Leno, and we can get a rebound. I mean, we're just not even testing them.
Yeah, keepers are literally getting paid to do nothing against us at the moment. But the Wolves keeper didn't make a save, or maybe one, I think. The Lloris made 1 save from Lacazette. That was it. The whole game, and that's every single. That's unbelievable. That's what I don't get. I can't. And then the other thing that's happened is he's totally abandoned every principle of football that he came in and said, "This is our principle. This is our principles." The playing out from the back is totally disintegrated. That's gone now. I don't even see that anymore. We're not doing that anymore. It's like panic stations. It's just so weird.
Danny, fix this for us, please.
Yeah. Well, it's going to sort itself out eventually. We're not getting relegated. We probably won't even finish bottom half of the table.
No, I mean, these things, there is a regression to the mean. I mean, we are a shit club. We're not a 15th place club in the Premier League, although at the moment we are with the statistics. I mean, it's not like we're underperforming, and just getting unlucky. We belong where we are, but we're not going to end there. But which is why people talk about relegation. I mean, they're just stirring shit up. Do you understand what the difference between 15th and 18th is right now? Those teams in 18th are not climbing. What is it? 13 points to 7 or 15 points to 7, something like that. 13. Yeah. I mean, it's going to take 5 or 6 weeks for those teams to get to where we are right now, and the hope is that we get a couple points in the next 5 weeks from our games. But this is not where we need to be, and I just have to laugh at it at this point. I mean, I try to desensitize. I'm the kind of guy that sticks my head in the sand because getting angry is not going to do anything to change it. We have no God-given right to be top 4 all the time. But this is kind of ridiculous.
Well, I was watching Southampton last night. They barely beat Brighton. They were lucky to beat Brighton. And so, I mean, like you were saying, we've got 13 points. Sheffield United 1. West Brom and Burnley have both got 6. And all those teams are shit. Sheffield United will probably go down. West Brom are definitely going down. And then if we win 2 games, that means it's on 19 points. We're back up the top half of the table. We've got a decent run of games. So don't panic, people.
But this is the conversation that we're having right now, though. Yeah, if we could get 19 points by Christmas, we'll be in good shape.
All right, let's go. And the other topic I want to talk about, start with you on this one, Femi. There have been, stop me when you know where I'm going, there have been 16 foul throws in the Premier League this season. Bellerin has made 5 of them. How is that acceptable? Apparently, the point that he's making, we were talking about it on the show after the Spurs game, and Daytak was in there telling us all off that we were wrong, that you are allowed to lift your feet off the floor, but the problem that Bellerin is making, the ball must be behind your head when you release it. Yeah, either Mike's having a turn or he's bored. So, yeah, what's your thoughts on how a player can make 5 constant foul throws?
I mean, this is just a weird one because when he does it, you can actually see it now. That's the worst part. Before I'd never noticed it, and I think what someone said was, I think when he did the second one, he did 2 in 1 game against Liverpool. When he did the second one, he actually mouthed the words, "I've been throwing like this all my life." So now you actually see. Do you know what actually made me more angry than the Bellerin foul throws? The Tierney long throws. Those were absolutely. So Tierney winds up 2 times in this game to take a long throw, and there was nobody in the box, no one on the near post. No, he didn't send a defender up. He didn't nothing, and he just throws it straight to a Spurs head, who just heads it away. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on here? Like, what? This set piece coach, is this what he's trained? What is going on?
Rory Delap, he is not. Let's just put it that way.
But Rory Delap, when he wind up to take a long throw, especially against us, they would send what's his name, Shawcross and Hoof, all of them to disrupt Almunia, whoever was in goal at the time, and it would be panic stations in our goal. We literally get Tierney to throw a long throw to Lacazette and Aubameyang, and you're thinking that, well, that's really going to trouble them, isn't it? Weird decisions.
Mike, have you got any? We will talk about the ongoing football thing with Demba Ba in a minute. I just want to mention it. If it wasn't so pathetic, it would be funny. Go on, what do you think about
I'm seeing something about Demba Ba, but I don't know what it is. So you'll enlighten me.
I will do. So have you got any thoughts, Bellerin? Or should we just...
Yeah, he sucks. And I mean. This is almost going to sound like support of him, but don't get me wrong. I don't understand what's going on with him right now, or at any point, I guess, in the last couple of years. But is it possible that enforcement is not applied evenly in the Premier League? I mean, there are certain plays in sports. There's rules in basketball about, coming off the line during a free throw too early. And it's just kind of known that, and previously before VAR with penalties, coming off your line as a goalkeeper or encroachment, that, it's just not really frequently enforced. Let's just put it that way, or not enforced evenly. I kind of feel like that's the same way with the foul throw thing. And ever since that Liverpool game, I think Bellerin's been marked where, they are staring at him as he throws the ball in and ready to blow the whistle at any time. That said, it shouldn't have happened once, much less 5 times. And it's that the last one against Spurs. I mean, I think he was kind of searching. So he was going like this for about 5 minutes before he finally threw it in. And I'm like, it's got to be on his mind. He's got to be thinking, okay, put the ball behind your head. He's got to be going through the checklist because it's taking him forever. And then he still did it. And I mean, that is a problem that should get you that should get you benched at this point. I mean, and yes, I know that the impact of throw-ins. I think one of my sons, he was in a game one time and all the parents were whining because the decision on the side about whose throwing it was they got a couple of them wrong, and everyone was screaming as parents at youth soccer do or youth football, and the referee was like, at this level, 76% of throw-ins end up with the other team within 5 touches anyway. So what stop complaining. I know that's not the case at the professional level, but the impact of it is probably not that great. But it's just if you can't do the one simple thing, then what are you doing? Are you going to bed, Danny? Danny looks like he's going to sleep.
No, I get really cold hands, so I've got a hand warmer here, so I'm okay.
The life of Danny. I learn something new every 10 minutes. That
just on that, the Bellerin thing. What's funny is I actually saw a comment from a Liverpool fan about that, and he says Trent does it more than Bellerin. That he takes the most foul throws. So what you're saying, it's quite weird. Where you're saying that maybe the referees have his cards marked, and I think that's such a weird thing for referees to look at. I mean, someone in the comments mentioned Kane going in and nearly injuring Gabriel. Why don't they have that card marked? Why is that not something
Lukaku.
that they have marked? That he's nearly killing,
Yeah.
trying to destroy players' careers.
Someone doing that against in the Korean league, and the player went over just like Kane did, landed on broke his neck and 3 vertebrae.
Whoa! I mean, it's coming with Kane.
There's the way that he dives. I mean, he practices these dark arts, and if he played for us, I'd probably say more power to him. But I mean, it is a weird thing to get marked for. It's something that's easy for referees to call. It doesn't bother anybody except makes him look like an idiot. But that said, how hard is it to I mean, you could go back and look at them. They're foul throws. It's not that they're not foul throws, so you can't complain that they're calling him more often than anybody else if he keeps doing it.
But I'd like some bored person to go and look at every Premier League game this season and count how many foul throws there were. Like I think it was you, Femi, that said that the referee's looking for it. The video I saw today, the referee was standing almost in line. The penalty spot was there, and he was standing outside the box level with it, and Bellerin was all the way over here. And as soon as Bellerin threw it, the referee went, no, blew it, shook it. It went like that. No,
they should do a special, like the Sky Sports or whoever's broadcasting the next game should do like a top view and like put the lines on there and they should do like a throw-in cam where after each throw-in they can analyze yes it was or yes it wasn't foul throw.
Right. Some people have been.
Can you VAR a throw-in? Like if we scored off a throw-in and the other team, can they buzz him to check to see whether the throw-in was foul or not and take the goal back?
Surely not, because Man United scored a goal from the ball being out of play the other day, and I don't know what the VAR didn't bother to check that. So I'm sure they're not checking. Who knows what VAR does anyway? I mean, I saw a VAR decision last night in the Southampton game.
The penalty decision.
Yeah, I was like, what is going on? Is this really what football is now? Like, what? I mean, seriously. Anyway, that's for another day.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of call that goes against 15th and 16th place teams.
And people in the chat have been talking about what's going on in the PSG.
I've just seen something on TV. The game's suspended.
Demba Ba, who is a player that I think we've been after a couple of times back before he retired to Turkey. He sat on the bench and the line, and I think he's gobbing off at something that didn't go, and he wasn't happy about it. So the fourth official gets hold of the referee and says, book the black bloke, and then Demba Ba has lost his shit, and then the game's been suspended and Demba Ba's been sent off for it. Fucking hell. You think people would learn and go, book the ball bloke, book the bloke sitting down, book the bloke with the blue boots, book the bloke who Arsenal keep trying to buy when he was good.
I'm guessing this game was, well, I'm not going to get started with that.
19 minutes, I think it was. Have you seen the videos of it?
I've just seen it. It was on because all the games are at the half now, so they showed it. It was at the half or in the 40th minute or something like that, and both sides I think walked off.
How can they have an excuse for saying that? I mean, especially in this time where you really need to be careful of how you describe anybody of any color or sexuality or anything like that, or any religion. You can't just say that. So
literally everybody's wearing a number. I mean, isn't the number a good way? I mean, although he might, if he's on the bench, then that's ridiculous. And from a referee, they're supposed to be keeping the peace, not causing the problem. So,
you got any thoughts on that, Fem?
I'm just trying to keep up with it. I just saw them all walk off. I think what you just said. I'm actually lost for words. I'm like, how can something like that even happen? That's just
ridiculous.
It's quite amazing, isn't it? I mean, I'd love to know which country the officials are from as well. I'd love to know where they're from, because we've had a few of these language things where certain words that we know in our society probably are not to be used are being used in some other countries. But
if I go to Away, might
it's
say
a bit crazy. I'm just trying to see if we have any questions on Twitter, by the way. That's why I'm quiet.
I don't think it's going to say. No, that's
the game is in. The referee Sebastian Colcescu. So I'm guessing
official. Yeah.
Guessing somewhere in Romania, maybe.
Yeah, it is. They're all 4 of them are from Romania.
Romania
doesn't have the best teams, does it? With issues.
This is another thing. I mean, like, you're looking at officials in the Champions League. What criteria? I mean, which countries are they getting at? What Romanian referees in the Champions League? I mean, are we being serious? Like, to what level are they refereeing there? It's quite a weird one, isn't it?
We all know the whole situation with the referees. Like, there's no English referees going to the next World Cup. So it's just Pierluigi Collini. Just let him to referee everything. He'll come out of retirement. He's going man in his little electric buggy. But yeah, that's what people are talking about. Femi,
there's no questions on Twitter, Danny.
Oh, got one from Matt L. Roberts. I'll start with you, Femi. He says, both of you, can you name 3 positive things right now for the club? Personally, he says, 1, the Arsenal women, 2, players coming back from injury, 3, this podcast. Cheers, Matt.
I'll let Mike go first on that one.
Yeah, the players coming back from injury, I think, are the one. Martinelli is a positive, Saka is a positive, and the Black Friday sale on selected items on the Arsenal Direct is a positive for the holidays. Although nothing that you want is actually on sale; it's all the shit that you don't want. So. And the fact that I might be around to see the second half of the season, although I'm not sure that's a positive.
Martinelli is back. Got a game tonight. That's a big positive. If he gets a game under Arteta, that is.
We'll ruin him too, though. We'll ruin him.
The young players
or injury.
The young players are positive. I mean, I've got like a real loving for Emil Smith Rowe. I think he's excellent. He's not, these young players, their stock is rising in my eyes, and they will be hopefully there no matter who the manager is, improving. And thirdly, I don't know, the fans are back in the stadium. That's a positive about Arsenal, And Emirates was 2004 on last Thursday, but it sounded as loud as 60,000.
2004. Are we getting fined for that?
I don't know if it says a lot about when we were at 60,000, how quiet it was, or if it says a good thing about the 2000.
Well, it did seem like the 2000 felt as though they had to make noise, like
yeah.
We should do that. We should, we start cutting back from 60,000 to a number where people start like they're like, if we don't make noise, this is going to be pathetic, and then we just find that number.
Yeah,
and then put sex dolls in the rest of the seat, so it looks.
And do you know why it's positive? Because they cannot get away with playing the ball backwards every game when there's fans in the stadium.
2,000 people can whistle loud enough to hear it. Yeah.
So there's a positive for you.
Right, let's. We have got a question from someone called Carl Walker. Never heard of him. Sounds dodgy. He says, "How many points will we get between now and Christmas? Are we allowed to include 3 points we'll probably get from Dundalk? Probably not. Right, you two add up on your fingers. Right, first one, Arsenal Burnley. I think we'll beat that.
Yeah, we'll win that.
Mike,
no.
Count. What do you say? How many points are we getting?
We're at home, so none.
Right, okay. Next one, Arsenal Southampton. At Arsenal, I think we'll beat them. So I'm on 6 so far. Femi?
Based on what?
I don't see how we're going to beat them. I think that's a draw. So that's 4 points for me.
Mike's on 0. I'm on 6. You're on 4. And the 19th, we're away at Everton. I think we can get a draw there because Everton are on their arse. So I'm on 7.
We'll draw that one just because everyone thinks that Ancelotti was, such an easy pick for us over Arteta, and he's not what everyone thought he was. So, but I think we'll draw that game.
I think draw as well.
7.
That's 3 unbeaten.
So I've got set.
Where are you getting that optimism from?
Oh, here we go. Arsenal Chelsea on Boxing Day. Nothing.
Oh,
yeah. And then going away to Brighton on the 29th, final game of the year.
Name me the last time we went away to Brighton and won.
We're going to do it this time. So I've got us down as 10 points. Femi?
I've got 6 points. I think we'll get a draw against Brighton.
I'll give us a draw because Brighton's pretty bad right now. So I'll go 2 points. When I get optimistic, we go into a slide like we have been lately. I mean, after Manchester United, I was gung ho, and then it's been nothing since then. So maybe in some small way, my pessimism will lift the team to new heights, and inspire them because I know they listen to this podcast. But it wouldn't surprise me to see 2 points out of the next 5 games.
Shocking. Right, question there for you, Mike. You can answer this one because you're from the country of mic'd up refs. Nick says, why are refs not mic'd up for broadcast on TV? Pretty much every sport does that. What are the refs hiding if they are impartial, which we've seen tonight? They may well not be.
I don't disagree with that. I'm all for transparency when it comes to that. And, traditionalists may feel differently, but I think referees should be made to account for their decisions. If one thing that crossed my mind is that referees in football are obviously on the move a lot more than referees in other sports, and there aren't stoppages for them to walk up and catch their breath. But I mean, they're in probably better shape than some of the footballers are, so that really shouldn't be an obstacle. But whether it's mic'd up constantly or have to turn the mic on to explain free kicks, or I don't know how you would implement it, but there has to be more transparency and during the game, not just at the end of the game coming out, which they don't even have to do now. They don't have to explain their calls now. So I'm all for more transparency. How you mic them up, not 100% sure, but yeah, fuck them.
Femi, you got a quick answer on that? We've got another couple of questions come in.
No answer. I think that it was Tony Adams, wasn't it? That was swearing when they did the trial in.
Oh yeah.
So blame Tony Adams for ruining it for all of us.
Arsenal's fault again. Question here. Carl has asked this, and so has Avon. £20 million bid for Alba in January. Would you accept, Fem?
No,
that's not out. Oh, I saw one for Laka too.
Oh
yeah.
So, no, they both said 20 million for each of them. There you go.
Yeah, Carl asked about.
Yeah, Carl said 20 for Laka, and Avon said 20 for Aubameyang. Would either of you sell either of those players for 20 million each?
I wouldn't sell Aubameyang for 20 million. Lacazette, not in Jan. I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one. I can't really answer. Maybe not in January, to be fair. Maybe in the summer. I mean, in the summer, we kind of have to sell him, don't we? Because he's only got a year left on his contract. So.
Yep. Oh, dear. Mike, would you sell either?
I sell Laka for 20 million tomorrow. I hate to say it. Sorry, Chris. But yeah, I would have sold him this. If we needed to sell him to buy Partey, or to some sort of exchange, if that had ever been the case, I would have said that. I mean, Lacazette's play this season hasn't been great. It's probably not been as bad as people have said it has been, but I just don't see him recapturing his form from early Arsenal and late Lyon. So yeah, I'd take 20 million and get him off the books. Aubameyang, I mean,
cool. I thought you finished. Carry on.
Aubameyang, I mean, I would have said absolutely not about a month ago, but I mean, if you're, I'm looking for Richard. He's not actually with me. I don't know what he's talking about, but Aubameyang, 20 million, get him off the books for 3 years. I gotta say, it's tempting at this point because I'm seeing some things from him, like mentally, that I didn't think. I'm seeing he's switching off. So it doesn't mean that he's not good, and I know that it has to be, has to do with the people around him. But I mean, if we were to take that 20 million and bring in somebody like Edouard from from Celtic or something like that. I'm not saying we're replacing him and that's a net equal, but it might be a little dangerous now to have 350 to 400 K on the books for the next 3 years with an Aubameyang that's moping around. So it would be reactionary to do that in January, but it wouldn't. I might consider it. I'd love to see 30, but I might consider it.
I would say yes. Go on, Fem.
No, go for it. You say yes.
Lacazette, because he's done. Sadly, I love both of them. Lacazette's we have one resident wonderful beard. Giroud went, and Lacazette has got the beard. And when Lacazette goes, I don't know who's going to take up the beard, the moniker of being the bearded man. But I'd sell them both because, like you said, Mike, I don't want 350 grand on our wages bill because it will hamper us getting in new players. And what sort of players could you get in on 350 grand? You could get, because we're not going to be in Europe next season, as a championship side, I'd expect the entire squad to be on less than 350 grand a week. So, yeah, sell them both.
That penalty merchant has just gotten another for Juve.
That's Barcelona worse than us. You know what? I'll join you guys in saying yes if on the assumption that Bellerin signs a new contract, which he still hasn't signed. So as much as we're all getting excited about him, he's on a free transfer at the end of the season. Yeah, we need to get him signed up.
I'm sure we could get him to re-sign for $350 a week. So we're going to give you Aubameyang's contract.
One final question from Carnage1618 from our Twitch. It's quite a lonely place because no one bothers. If anybody has Amazon Prime, you get $2.50 every month. If you don't use it, goes in the bin. So let me know. Tweet us, and I'll talk you through how to give it to us, and we get the money. You did it recently, didn't you, Fem? And it was quite
talking you through it involves giving us your credit card number. Or you could send them to our Patreon. It's very reasonable.
How is the $20 Patreon going?
And the holiday time is coming up. We're close to arranging our first patron. And when we do, I'm going to go on a worldwide cruise with the money. Yeah. But yeah, go to patreon.com/TGP, and it's more than reasonable. Trust me.
Maybe ABW should set up a Patreon, but you get absolutely nothing for it, much like if you do our YouTube, and you can join there. I joined Tom's yesterday. I finally managed to get my credit card and do it. I just took £1.99 off of my credit card once a month to support Tom and all the good work that Tom does, because Tom is a friend of ours. Well, one final question from Carnage, all on his own or their own, I don't know. Could be an alien for all I know. In the Twitch says, if Arteta was sacked, who do you generally believe the hierarchy would appoint? I would say a combination of Vieira and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, who was sacked on Friday. Femi?
Steve Bold.
Oh, good God, he's relegating the 23s.
I would rather have the Steve Bald collective coach the team than Steve Bald.
But honestly, if Arteta was to leave, who would be caretaker right now? We there's nothing in the club.
Josh Kroenke, your mate, Mike. He'll be in.
Who?
Kroenke, manager.
Oh yeah. Why not? I'll talk him into it.
Owen's gone and joined. Oh, bless him, Owen. Oh, Owen's on with us on Thursday, Owen. I hope you're still available for that. The Arsenal v the Dundalk v Arsenal. We're going to smash them 11-0 like they beat someone in the Irish.
Is he going to be doing live reporting from outside the stadium?
Just be Owen crying, go, let me in, you bastard!
You bastards! Owen, speaking of Owen, he will be hosting our newscast. I have to find my bell. I'm not sure I brought it down to the COVID den or not, but we're going live in 15 minutes, actually.
That's why I have this ready.
Yep. Oh, look at that. Or you could just go to goonersubscribe.com because
any website you want and it will take you. Just randomly put one in. And it will
type in a Bergkamp Wonderland.com and it goes straight to our YouTube.
Who do you want as manager? Duncan Knapp says Warnock.
At this point, can we pry Rafa Benitez out of China? I mean, always hated him, but he does kind of know how to, resuscitate a situation. I suppose.
I don't want to see any more Spanish managers. Honestly, I'm done after this. If this doesn't work, I don't even know where we. Like, I've literally hitched all my bets on this guy. Just as the club has. I bought in from the first interview when he walked in.
I have too, but I mean, this is where we are right now, Febster. I mean, I don't think we've resolved anything in this podcast. That's the summary. I think we're going to have the same conversation 3 months from now.
Why haven't you turned on join membership for your channel? You only need 1,000, don't you? Have you looked to see if you can have it?
Because we are just not. Look,
I'll get nothing. Get nothing from yours.
Because we want to remain critically acclaimed, which means no one watches us except for the people who want good content, and we know that's only 40 people. We don't argue, but I don't know. People can join our Patreon if they really, really support us. They'll spend £1,000 a month to support us. That's the way we feel. And if you're not going to support us that way, then fuck off.
That's why I'm putting all of my shit that I own on eBay. If anybody wants any retro gaming, it's all on eBay. Made about $3,000 so far.
You can get one. You can get 1 month, and the upgraded package comes with 1 month of us texting you the results of the Arsenal game after it's over. And what better of a month to have that feature than December with all of the with the fixture congestion that we have.
You can be sitting having your Christmas Day dinner and then get a little text off a mic with Arsenal 9, Chelsea 0 written on his winkle.
You'll get Jerby bombs texted directly to you every 7 days, like Avon says.
By the way, RK's got the worst comment I've ever seen. Yeah, there you go. In any Arsenal podcast history, that's the worst comment I've ever seen.
I think they do allow supporters from other clubs into YouTube formats, so I think
it's terrible. Right. Avon says you should change the pod to Gerbil Says.
Yeah, put RK's picture back up there because for some reason RK has an icon of Mike Hernandez's child as his as his icon. I have no idea why, but
sad times. Mike, take that up with Mike because I'm not sure where he's going.
One of his 12 children. That is.
Lovely. Right, I think that is the end of the podcast. We have solved absolutely nothing. We've just had a little bit of a giggle. So if you want to go to, I'm going to put it in the chat there. That is Mike's YouTube channel. They are going to be live in about 15 minutes. I might be watching. I might be there. I might not. I don't know. I'm going to play hard to get, play mysterious. But as I've got fuck all to do with my life until the 18th when I've got to leave the house. Not looking forward to that. It's cold out there.
Is that your quarterly walking?
No,
I am taking for a walk.
I am going to go to the hospital to see the rheumatology people about my medication because I'm as stiff as a porn star's cock at the moment, and it's not good. I don't need to be like that. I need medication to limber me out, baby.
Well, we need more of those Sean and Daddy videos from the park.
It's not back until the 22nd, 21st of December. Damn you, Lidl, you scumbags. Yes, so you made me think now. Maybe I should have played that thing. Hold on, we're not going anywhere. Go here and go onto my own Instagram and see if I can find that video that you mentioned. Go here, profile, you shit. I don't do many things, do I? There's this, there's that.
There's nothing that makes me happier than getting a text from you where with the little triangle on it that shows you it's a video, and you can see his legs wagging in the breeze, and Sean's laughing in the background. It makes me happier than it should for some reason. Much happier than the pictures of you in the bath.
All right, so how do I make this full screen? I don't think I do. I'm just going to make that a little bit bigger, and then I'm going to share it with you beautiful people. Here we go. Here's this.
It's going to be great for the people listening on iTunes.
Tab here, and we'll share audio. And can you all see that? It's me in the park. Here we go.
Oh, God, this is okay.
is a pink and white unicorn on a pink lead, and I'm in my park taking it for a walk, shouting, "Alan! Alan! Alan!"
That's about as I move, by the way.
There you go. Oh, the beardy lefty goonie. I don't know who that is, but thank you very much. Right, stop that bullshit. It's your fault, Mike. That's on my Instagram. And I'm not telling you my Instagram, much like I'm not telling you my Twitter. Mike, talking about Twitter, where can they find you?
At the Gooners Pod and at Gooners v Cancer. But the better content, the real hardcore stuff is at the Gooners Pod.
Very good. And if people want to come and watch you, click on that link that I've put in the chat. And Cole says, get better soon, Mike. I don't know if it means of your sexual depravity or your COVID. Hopefully both.
I will be resolved of both pretty soon, I think.
Jolly good. Femi, where can people find you if they want to listen to your wise words on the Twitterings?
Yeah, you can follow me. I think it's at Femster82. I don't usually give it out, but yeah, at Femster82 on Twitter. Yeah, follow me. I don't have a lot of. I try and be positive, but yeah.
Did you get everything off your chest that you had planned for tonight?
Yeah, this was really good, really good. I'll sleep much better tonight.
You do feel better after an hour or two of just talking about it. It's hard to make it any worse. So I've enjoyed.
It still doesn't make sense, but it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But
the question I missed that might hurt. Does pineapple belong on pizza? Yes.
No, but if you go to Wikipedia and look up Hawaiian pizza right now, scroll down to current media, and Dave, a certain person, I'm not going to give out the name, has put us in there, and it's been nearly a week that we've remained there. So, so take a look.
There you go. Finally, ending the show in honor of Carl, because we have got a quadruple for Carl. Hashtag fuck Ellis, hashtag Hollybobs, hashtag fuck Ellis, scrolling across the bottom of the screen, and Carl with a message. Where can people find Chris?
Under one of Carl's trains?
No, Carl's trains is Carl's moved. He's moved into I don't know what he's moved into. No, he's off. He's on holiday. He said he wasn't doing it. Oh no, that's it.
No, it says where can Peel find Chris? Speaking of Peel, I got to go to the bathroom before my next podcast. So.
No, it was fine. So I was thinking in my head, Cole doesn't do it anymore. No, Cole can't disrupt Fifey's journey to work anymore because Fifey has moved, and Carl is distraught about that. So thank you very much to everybody in the chat box for joining us tonight.
Fifey seems more like a horse and carriage person than a tube person anyway.
He does have a boy who carries him around the house. He's 6 foot. Next WWF wrestler, and I think he might be the Big Show. Just carries him around the house. He says, "Boy, carry me here, boy. Thank you, boy." So that's where the Big Show is. If anybody wants to know, that's the tallest one I could think of. Yeah. So shut up. Right, it's the end of the show. Thank you very much, Femi, for joining us. You've been very, very good.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all in the chat room. It's been great.
Thank you very much to Mike. You've been extremely average or subpar.
That's a win for me for today. So I'll take it. Thank you.
And thank you so very much, everybody at home. Remember, only 30% of the people that watch this on YouTube can be bothered to fucking subscribe. So subscribe, like, give it a thumbs up, follow, tell your mum, all of that shit. Good night, and we will see you on Thursday when it'll be Owen and me talking about the magnificent 11-0 win against Dundalk. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night. Hashtag fuck Ellis.